welcome to The Grind. Hey, this is Sarah Schumacher, and we are here at Curbword Entertainment talking to the three amazing songwriters next to me. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
My name is Billy Montana.
And I'm Hannah Ellis.
And I'm Brian Bunn.
Awesome. Well, today we are going to take you behind the songwriting process, and we are going to just chit-chat, ask questions.
Love it.
Sounds good.
We're excited.
Cool.
Sounds good. Bring it. Bring the heat.
All right. When did you write your first song?
Do you want to start with me?
Yeah.
Sometime in the late 1700s, right?
Well,
if you're anything like the young people that I write songs with, they ask me things like, "Was the Big Bang really loud?" And
right.
stuff like that, you know. But anyway, for myself, I think it was I really probably 15, 16 years old. You know, when girls started to come into my life and be important. You know,
That's it.
and songwriting for me, I was influenced immensely by like singer-songwriters like Jackson Browne. You know, I mean, his music was the biggest influence on me musically. And so I was reading, they had these things called LPs, like vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's big, and you can read liner notes and stuff.
Oh,
And so
amazing.
What's that?
So
What are
I would
those?
read who wrote the songs. Like, that was more important to me.
Yeah.
Than, so I was probably 16 years old when I wrote my first song.
See, and I feel like I don't know, this is going to sound dumb, but like I don't think I knew that songwriting was a job. I guess I just assumed the artist wrote the songs. But like I grew up singing more than anything. I didn't write my first song till I was like 18.
Really?
Honestly, yeah, because
Late bloomer.
yeah.
You figured it out quick.
Thank you.
No kidding.
I mean, really.
Because
That's pretty dang good.
so
girl.
what it was is it was the Taylor Swift era, right? Like, and I think that I don't know. I just never thought of it as a job. I was a singer. I wrote a lot. Like I loved writing in school, stories and things like that. But I don't know. That's like weird to say that I didn't know it was a job, but I just didn't. And then I had a meeting down here at Sony when I was like 18, and they were like, and I played some songs like covers, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, can you play us anything you wrote? And I was like, excuse me. And they were like, just something maybe you wrote. And I was like, yeah, I don't have those.
Yeah.
And they basically were like, and that was, I mean, right at the beginning of Taylor and her, you know, like rise. And so it's like that whole, we want them to be able to do everything was really important. And so, you know, I kind of left that meeting and was like, well, I got to figure out how to write songs.
Yeah.
So that was, probably 18.
Who'd you start writing with?
You know, some of the first people I wrote with in Nashville was Molly Reed and Connie Harrington.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I know, funny, right?
That's a good start.
That's a really
I
good
know.
start.
I skipped steps a little bit
Yeah.
on that
Goodness.
one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was the time, though, of MySpace. And so I had cut some songs that they had written,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's when you're like a nobody from Nobodiesville. They let you cut C-list songs, and they're like, here, it's fine.
Yep.
And so we wrote them, my dad and I wrote them on MySpace. And we're like, we cut your songs, and we'd like to meet you. And they both were like, okay.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
funny
I
story.
think I was 12.
Nice.
Still remember it, having it on cassette tape, but it's called Sitting on Cloud 9.
Oh my God.
It's like a blues jam.
love
And I actually, my good buddy who moved to town here, who now sings and plays for Thomas Rhett, wrote it with him. We had a band, 3-piece, guitar, bass, and electric drums. And
Was this Simmer Radio?
this was the early,
Okay.
I guess way early, version of that.
Wow.
That's
So-
amazing.
It's amazing.
We just sit there and jam and make up songs.
So
And
did you know
That's
you
so
wanted to
awesome.
be a songwriter?
I mean, I knew I wanted to be in a band.
Okay.
Because
That
again,
was
I
more
didn't
than
exactly know that like you could be a professional songwriter at the time.
that was
but
so
Actually,
not
that's
until
true.
later when I realized people got paid to do just that. I was
Yep.
like, oh. Like
you guys
that
get
was-
paid to do this?
No.
Sometimes.
She was just
Now's
getting
not
that
the
slip
time
of
to talk
tongue.
about deals. Well, okay, I guess we could talk about deals. How did you get into Nashville, and what was that process like for getting your first publishing deal?
I had an advantage that a lot of people don't because I had signed a record deal with Warner Brothers
Well,
Records.
okay. Pin a rose on your nose.
Well, and so we lived in upstate New York and didn't, so I was sitting across the desk from publishers playing me songs that they wanted me to record because I was the artist and I had potential. I was a potential income earner for them. So they were playing me songs, and so that's actually how I learned
Songwriting was a
that it was
job.
a thing.
Yeah.
Because you know, I was thrust into that thing. So, I mean, that was so. When my record deal was over because I didn't have any commercial success, I visited some of the publishers that I felt like, you know, did the best job in finding the songs for me.
Were
and
you still in
were,
upstate New York? Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
We didn't move here until after I lost my record deal. But again, I mean, it's an advantage that a lot of up-and-coming songwriters don't have, is that gave me some notoriety on pitch sheets and stuff like that. So the publishers knew who I was prior
That's awesome.
to moving to town.
Yeah.
So,
How long ago was that?
Also in the late 1700s. No, that was 1988, October, we lost our record deal. Not that I remember it.
Right.
And then,
Did not scar you one bit.
Not one bit. I mean, I've almost forgotten it. So that was 88 October, and then we moved here in February of 89.
Amazing.
1989.
1980.
Yes, you got it. You know, when I moved here, I feel like NSAI was super important. And before I moved here, because I was from Kentucky,
They're so good.
I'm telling you, the number one advice I give to people that message me or ask me questions about what, I'm like, your first stop when you park your car is to go there. Because they just helped me get plugged in with people and like, just learn how to write songs and learn what the day of a songwriter looks like. And they had, I think it was the Gap group at the time. So like you could, and they, Cherise Boltor was the leader of this group, and she picked out like a handful of people, and they would do like a once a month meeting. Well, when I was still in college in Kentucky, when I was part of that, so I was coming down.
Wow.
And like, so they were super helpful, just me getting kind of my feet into the water here before I moved. And then in 2012, I didn't move till 2013, but in 2012 I interned at Big Machine with Laurel Kittleson.
Oh.
That was my, like, I had to have an internship to graduate. And so my dean of my college, who's an angel, was like, if you get an internship in Nashville, I don't care where it's at, I'll sign off and say that counts.
That's awesome.
And so that was super helpful, just to like know some people moving here, you know.
But that's really, that NSAI advice is great advice.
It really is.
Really.
They just do they really are songwriter champions. And when you're young and you're like just green as a gourd, they are super helpful. And even just like
She's
them,
from Kentucky.
I know.
Kentucky, yeah.
Even them
Never heard
like
of that.
sending feedback was super great. Like that's the kind of learner that I am.
Yeah.
Is like, I want to know what you didn't like, or what could be better, or what didn't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But that also brings up a good point that like songwriting is a very like networking and social thing. You know, I mean, naturally I'm probably more of an introvert. I like to sit in the studio and write songs all day long. But you know, you have to get out and meet people to get the deals and things like that. And I kind of did the same thing. I had a band. We just played everywhere. And then a producer saw us and signed us to a label here in town. And I think that was back in '06. So just writing lots of songs, playing shows. And then when that kind of ended, you know, just through other people I'd met, like Kyle Jacobs and Brian White, some great writers in town. Then they kind of introduced me to Curb and thought maybe I'll be crazy enough to do the professional songwriting thing.
That's it.
And you just have to, you know, it's funny, but I say you just have to be dumb enough not to quit.
That's it.
And that's the truth. I mean, because it's ups and downs. But if you don't quit and you love it and
That's
you
really
stick
good.
with it,
Right.
then, you know, good things will happen.
Yeah. So Curb
So-
was your first pub deal?
Well, no, I mean, technically I had pub deals under my
Through his-
labels
okay,
with my
gotcha.
band December Radio.
Yep.
But I was just more writing for my band and not other people.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, and I love doing that because you know, doing this, you get to write so many different styles.
Yeah.
One day you can write country, the next day
What
pop.
I do love about this company is that with it being Curb Entertainment, it's like you get to do, I mean, we literally have cuts in every genre.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's so fun.
Didn't you have like a Swedish dance hit
that
or
was
something?
actually really fun. I had a DJ song came
Seriously?
out last year. Yeah. It's hysterical. I was like, okay, love it.
But tell
Your
them what they
vocal?
talked about the words, how you kept wanting to make them better, and they're like,
really
it does.
funny because I wrote this song in Amsterdam, and I'm like the only country writer at this pop camp. Like everybody else is like true pop writers, and this one guy, he kept being like, "Why do you want to change the second pre-chorus?" And I'm like, "Because it doesn't make sense with the first pre-chorus. Like literally, it doesn't make sense."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, repetition." And I was like, "Okay."
You do you.
Yeah. But even the song that we did get cut, they doubled so there was one pre and then the other pre, and they put them both together because, repetition.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Learn something new every day.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
though.
There is.
You know,
That's true.
the whole thing. Like, I read the book that kind of on McCartney. It's called Many Years From Now, Paul McCartney. And he was talking about John Lennon and him writing songs, and that they were super psyched when they were working on the chorus.
Yeah.
Because it was new and fresh, and they thought it was
Yeah.
clever and all this. And then their excitement level remained pretty high for the first verse, and then it waned when they were writing the second verse. And then he said by the third verse, we would have been worn out, so we just repeated the first verse.
That's it.
But in retrospect, it gave the audience that one more time
To
through
hear it,
yeah.
to hear it again, something to hang their hat on.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very
Truly.
cool.
Okay, so describe a day in the life of a songwriter. And I would like to know if there's any difference between what it started out like for you versus now.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So go back to the
don't you start?
1700s when you
Yeah, right.
This can be
you
really
can
great.
remember that.
Well,
If you can.
I was
In
gonna have
medieval
Hannah start.
Well, okay, I'll start. I
Well,
think
because
that,
it struck. It's
yeah,
struck a
the
chord with
biggest
you.
difference is, it's gonna sound lazy, but I think when I started out, it was quantity.
Oh yeah.
I was writing 2 and 3 times a day. Like
Same.
any person that would write with, I mean, that is all I wanted to do with my time.
Yep.
And like, it was just, but I think that is the right way then.
Yeah.
In that season, let's just be honest, you're not a good songwriter. When you start out, like you're fine. Maybe if you're just, God gave you the golden pen, maybe. But like, you're just trying to learn how to write a song and like what that feels like and what that looks like for you.
Yeah.
And then, you get further down the line, and now I pretty much, again, it's gonna sound lazy, but I like write like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
That's what I have scheduled. That doesn't mean I won't do more. Obviously now I have artist stuff too, but I think that what I started realizing was if I give myself a little space to breathe, I give myself time to be creative outside of the writing room,
100%.
come up with titles,
Yeah.
and be excited. Because I definitely think there's a moment you do this when you first get here and you're crazy about it and you're just like, can't get enough of it. And then there's this little burnout that happens where you're like, I don't want to write any more songs.
I don't have anything new to say.
Yeah, and you feel like you've said it all every
new
way you can,
experiences.
and and so then when I think it's like 2019 is when I started backing off the calendar.
Yep.
Really going, okay, maybe I don't need to do 5 days a week.
For me, it was COVID.
Oh,
Like
that definitely too.
Like, that's when I recognized that 3 days a
Is
week is good.
solid.
Is better for me.
Yep.
Yep.
Just for all of those same reasons, like you can develop ideas more. And I was frustrated when it was 4.5, 5 days a week, not having time even to work tape a song.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It's just boom, boom,
forgetting
boom,
that
boom,
I
boom.
wrote a
Yeah.
song on Monday because it was Friday,
Yeah.
and forgetting even what the title was of that song.
Yep.
And there was a detachment
Yeah.
from the work.
Became
and
too
I
work.
didn't really like that very
Yeah.
much, but I kind of didn't realize it until
Yeah. COVID was definitely.
I was forced to slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Well, too, Nashville's interesting in the fact that we don't just write when we're inspired by something.
It's a job.
It is. It's a job, and so you show up, and days are never the same. Sometimes you start out with an idea you have in your phone. Some day it's just we find a vibe. And then, if we're being honest, there's nerves involved. Sometimes you're with new people and you want to impress them, or you have an artist in the room, and so it's trying to keep all that in check. And But we have a saying, we say, dare to suck.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I would rather throw out some lines that may not be it, that would inspire somebody. Or sometimes I throw out bad lines just to make people laugh. Because,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, hey, we need
But
to laugh.
sometimes
It's like,
you'll say something and you think you're joking, and then everybody in the room's like, "That's
Exactly.
amazing," and I'm like, "Oh,
I was joking.
yeah."
I knew it was
You know, I was just
That's
seeing
why I
what you
said it.
guys
Yeah.
would think of it. So
I'm a
like, "Wait,
secret
really?"
genius. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
but
literally.
it's also nice when you get a group of people that you know and you've written with a lot.
That's
because
that's
then
sweet
you
spot.
can trust, like, hey, if we're having an off day and we don't show up with a bunch of great ideas, we can talk through it.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite things, especially with girls, because you guys seem to talk more. At
Okay.
least most girls,
Whoa.
not always.
Wow.
Well, no, but like you
It's
can be like,
fine.
hey,
My
what's
husband
going on
would
in your
vouch for that,
life?
so.
It's like, are you in a relationship? Did you
Yes.
just break up with somebody?
Right.
You
You have
know,
something to
and
pull
they'll be
from.
talking, and you just listen, and they'll a lot of times talking song titles.
Yeah.
So
so
that's a
true.
big thing.
More people in the world do that than we notice.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
care to notice.
Which is why you have to read, watch movies, or
Yeah.
at least I do, just pay attention. I'm
Yeah.
always, sometimes I wish I could shut it off,
Yeah.
but I'm always listening for song titles.
Yeah.
You know, I went into an A&R office one time to play songs for an A&R rep, and this is a long time ago. I mean, probably 1989 when we first moved to town, but she had a sign posted on her desk or behind her desk that said, "You can't write if you don't read."
Ooh.
Which I thought was really smart.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
like to refill the creative
Tank.
cup,
Yeah.
you know. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. And I think sometimes it just comes out without you even realizing it. You know?
agreed.
So you roll in, usually around 11.
Give or take 30 minutes.
You ever
for-
take 30 minutes, depending on who's in the room.
That's right.
You know, that's different than it used to be.
I was getting ready to say, I would happily start co-writing at 9:30.
I think we used to start at 9
Yeah.
or 9:30
When I
back in the
first
day.
started coming to Nashville, it was 10.
Okay.
And
When I
we,
very first started coming here.
along with that, though, we would break for lunch.
Yes.
Which we don't do.
Which we don't do now.
And then usually have an afternoon right. So it was usually at least 2 a day.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the coming in later has kind of transpired
Yeah.
over the years. Like
Do you
Yeah.
miss the 9 a.m. start? 9:30?
I'm pretty fresh in the morning.
You
I like it.
No. I mean, I'm the guy that likes to start at 5 and go till 3 in the morning.
Gross.
I used to say the
the
only
worst.
thing that's good
You
before
gotta
noon
go to
that's
LA.
made
My
is
He's a
girl,
real
done.
musician.
like,
That
your
guy's a
girl
real musician.
here, like when we start getting into like the 4 p.m. time frame, we better be like on something.
Yeah.
The only way I'm staying till 5 is if it's like, okay, well, there is some crazy special magic happening.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know, my creativity just wanes.
Yeah.
Versus, yeah, in the morning, I think I'm
Yeah, I'm pretty
A little
chipper in the morning. I think.
fresher.
Interesting.
Cool. Yeah. Do you think that when you got your first publishing deal, that changed your skill level in songwriting? Did that take it to the next level? How did it alter your life?
Why don't you start, Brian? You can start.
I mean, yeah, definitely. When you move here to town, you see all the incredible songs that haven't got cutting, but it's like that's the bar and they're way up here. And songs that you think are great, it's like, whoo, man, I gotta get that up to here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and just like anything, the more you do it, it's just you get better at it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's problem solving. It's like, okay, if we're stuck here, let's look at it a different angle. And by writing with like great people like these guys, you see how they do that.
Yeah.
And you do that with enough people,
Yeah.
and you just get a bunch of different ways of looking at a song.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely makes it better.
Yeah, I think that and I don't mean this exactly, but like the quality of the people you're writing with goes up when you have a publishing deal, because you're getting into rooms that you just couldn't
Yep.
get into. Not to say that the people that, I mean, me and all my friends came up together, you know, we all got deals around the same time. So like, obviously they're incredibly talented, but like the caliber of the people you're in the room with, you know.
Well, you mentioned, let's say Connie Harrington,
Yeah.
and Molly Reed.
Exactly.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's just
You're not getting in those rooms very often outside of a publisher setting that up. You know what I mean?
they're once you get your deal, yeah, you have somebody that's assisting in exactly that,
Yeah.
like getting you with writers who
And people that make sense for you.
Yeah.
exactly, because publishers hear everything that we do. They
Yes.
know our strengths,
Yep.
they know
Yep.
our weaknesses, and so the end game is, of course, to come out with the best song
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can possibly get.
Exactly.
So if I happen to be typically a stronger lyricist, then a publisher hears also what other people are doing around town, and they know, oh, the way this person
gonna
does
go really well with.
melodically
Yep.
is going to marry up with your lyrics like really nicely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the end result is going to be a better song.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah, especially
I
for
bet.
you guys, I'm sure.
I mean,
Strategy.
it's a
Yeah.
challenge. One other thing I want to go back, because Brian said something about the more you do it, the better you become at it. And Stephen King wrote a book called On Writing, and part of it is his history of how he got to be like a great novelist. But it's kind of an autobiography. But he said in there that even before he had any success, I think he was like doing laundry for a hospital or something, and so, but for 4 hours a day, he would write for 4 hours a day every day.
Wow.
And it's like being in shape. It's like exercising,
Yep.
physically exercising muscles.
Yeah.
Only you're exercising the creative process and the ability to be able to. We were talking about. You can't always wait to be inspired
Yeah.
Yeah.
in this town when you're writing for a publisher. We're under contract to be creative, sort of on demand.
No,
Yeah.
you're exactly
You
right.
can be creative when you don't feel like being creative.
Yeah.
So you have that to work toward.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too that, at least for me, changed my perspective. I don't know what you'd say there, but like I've always been an artist, right, singer, whatever. But when I got my publishing deal, I was very aware in my own mind that they're paying me to write songs and get songs cut.
Yeah.
Same.
And so that's just the kind of personality I have, to where I wouldn't say I put being an artist on the back burner, but I was all in, pedal down on writing great songs and turning in great songs. That way that the money they're giving me feels warranted, and I think that was really in my mind.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the other thing about not the opposite of that, but it's like I was recounting that in my time here in Nashville, like I spent maybe 8 or 9 months without a deal.
Yeah.
It was the toughest 8 or 9 months of my
To want to write.
professional career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody to play my songs for.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody hooking me up with,
believe it.
other writers that could, and it was a really challenging time. And so to have somebody in your camp
Yeah.
that you can
Bounce off
get
of,
feedback
absolutely,
from,
yeah.
and all of that is really important.
We'll talk more about that because burnout seems to be one of the things that can really derail a songwriter, and just their mental space is just so poor sometimes, and the people that love them or that are championing them are trying to, push you off and be like, come on guys, you can do this.
Yeah.
Just
Oh man,
keep going.
I'll
So
tell you a
talk about
story.
that.
Well, at Curb, when Drew was here, it had been a long stretch. It felt like a long stretch between having hit songs for
Yeah.
me, and I was like, God, what is happening?
Yeah.
And I went into his office and I said, man, I gotta be honest, I'm really like concerned about the amount of time that's happening, if anything's gonna transpire. He says, man, don't worry about it. You just keep doing what you're doing. He says, you're gonna write something, and
Yep.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
And then a hit happened.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it wasn't,
Yeah.
and it wasn't immediately, like
Yeah.
as soon as he said that, but it was almost like, wow, that dude believes in me more than I believe in myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have people that are like that in your
Yeah.
in your space.
Absolutely.
How do you dig yourself out of that headspace? Encouragement for you? You guys?
I think it's just the high of getting that next great song.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest,
I
when you
agree.
write as many songs, there are days when it just falls flat.
Yeah.
But then, every how many ever songs you get that incredible one, and then you're back up here again, and you're
I think
excited.
that's really true.
So-
Like when the whole team loves something, that's as exciting to me.
Food for the soul.
Yeah, it really is. Like when it's not just like, oh, this is cool. Like when different people at the company are going, okay, we all love this.
Yeah.
And the songwriters all love it. And all the different publishers love it. Then you're like, okay, all right, cool. And then you just kind of hit a stride. It's like anything, you know, and then you have lulls.
Yeah.
But it goes back and forth.
Yep.
And another thing, like
Very
about
fluid.
song ideas in a room, just because you throw out an idea and the people in the room don't like it that day, doesn't mean you won't throw it out next week and it'll
And
be a
it's
huge
perfect.
hitter. It's
Absolutely.
perfect.
That's it, yeah.
So, I mean,
Something that is different for me now than it used to be too, and Brian like addressing like some days it just falls flat. Like you're not, you know. I think you got to be okay with that
That's
too,
it.
and just accept that. Like I've become a better writer, and honestly, the days have become better when it's like taking a little bit of that pressure off to not have to
That's it.
come
Yeah.
up with the greatest song of all time, but to enjoy the hang,
Yep.
do the best you can do,
Networking.
Yep.
and
Honestly.
yeah, and just know that, you know, nobody hits a grand slam every time they step up to the plate.
It's true.
It just doesn't happen. So, and to be okay with that and know that next time around it'll be different. You know?
Yeah.
Hannah, you talked about writing multiple times a day. So did you. Is there any truth in the idea that you have to write 100 songs before you get that one good one?
I mean, for me, I would say yes, just because I think like anything, you don't go to the gym
Yeah.
on the first day and
Bench press 500.
you just don't. You don't max out. You're maxing out like is so weak. Like you can't just wake up and say, you know what, I'm gonna run a marathon. Like you have to go and train for that. And I think that like the more you train, this kind of what we've said a couple different ways. Like the more that you do that, then you're ready for when the inspiration does hit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know how to craft the song when someone does drop a title and you all look at each other and go, whoa,
That's
okay.
it.
You have the 100 other songs that you've written that taught you what does and maybe doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, or what might be missing, or you know. And I definitely think you have those situations where people show up into town and they just write a banger. I don't know how they do it. It just falls out, and that happens for sure. But I think
Doesn't happen very often.
the majority, I think, is more.
Yeah, that is
other
the
way.
exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Don, I hope I'm quoting Don Schlitz properly when I think he said something to the effect of you're only going to get 2 great ideas a year.
Yeah.
You're going to have several good ideas, but you have to finish those songs that are good ideas so that when those great ones roll around, you're going to write a great song.
Yeah, that's it.
Agreed.
It's so true.
I think we have time for one more question. Okay, cool. Before we head to break, what is the recipe for a great song?
No one
pressure.
really knows.
No, agreed. You don't.
It's a
I don't
moving
know. You
target.
don't know it's great. I don't think you know it's great till it's done.
Yeah.
Because there's
Sometimes then I don't.
yeah, that's so true. But I think that sometimes like you'll start out and you're like, this is gonna be amazing, and then somehow it just kind of like gets off the rails. I don't know what happens, and
What is that?
and I don't know what that is, but I definitely think I don't think there's a recipe.
I mean,
right?
definitely when you're writing for radio like we are to try to get the hits,
Yeah.
there's definitely a little bit of a formula.
For sure.
But let's
then-
let's distinguish the difference between a great song and a hit song.
Ooh, come on.
Because not
was
all
good point.
hit songs are great songs.
And vice versa.
And
That's
not all
true.
great songs are hit songs. And so
When you go through and you find out some of these big, massive songs like "I Can't Make You Love Me" didn't go #1, you're like, what?
Yeah.
and even the way
Like, you
That's
know,
ridiculous.
Wow,
do you hate music?
Yeah.
really not.
Someone told me that the other day because we were talking about this exact thing.
Dang.
I don't think it did. I'll have to look it up. But that was one that someone was like, I was like, wait, are you sure?
Yeah.
And then like,
Wow.
it's just, you're exactly right.
I think the formula for a great song, though, aside from being a hit song, is a song that, for me, it's a song that speaks into somebody's life.
Yeah.
Like that you play
That's
it for
true.
somebody and they sit there afterwards and they go, wow, you just nailed something that I've felt and didn't know how to put it in words.
Yeah.
Something
That
really
is, I will say, that is the reason I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Is because I want to look at them
That's why
when
you're
they're
a good
listening.
artist.
It is.
why you're a
I
good
want to
artist.
stand on stage and watch them hear something for the first time and go,
Yeah.
like, it is, that is the, if there's anything that I do it for, it's that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
No,
that's
that's
me.
good.
It's kind of selfish. I'm like, yes.
That's why we're here, right?
Exactly.
Somebody did that for us.
It's so true. And I
That
think
is absolutely true.
that You Belong With Me, that was the song, I'll never forget it. That was the song that the first time I heard it, I was like, because I loved country music and I grew up on country radio, but that was the song that I was like, whoa, someone actually wrote about my life. Because as great as Faith and Martia and Shania and all those people, I was 16.
Yeah.
I couldn't really relate to Breathe, maybe, but I was like, she's hot. I don't know, but yeah, and then that
Been
came out,
there.
and it was just, and it really has affected how I craft songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want someone to think that we're friends in real life, because that's
Yeah.
how I felt.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. All right, I think we're gonna go on a quick break or ad break. There it is. I can't read.
Quick break.
That's why I'm not
She
a
was thinking
songwriter.
of Kit Kat bars. Break me off a piece of that. Quick
But
ad
when we
break.
come back, we're gonna see a live performance from these three, and I am pumped.
I love it.
Welcome back. We are now going to have some live performances, starting with Billy. I was going to ask him to play his worst song ever, but I decided to not.
That'd be good.
I have
but
a lot of those.
It
worst
sounds like
songs
he
ever.
does, yeah. You could go all the way back to the 1700s.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
And just
yeah.
Medieval
pull-
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff that we used to write on that. What was that keyboard called?
Yeah.
You and Mozart together.
Clavinet.
Good times.
You would know. Well, why don't you play instead of that? why
Instead
don't
of that, can I do something else?
Yeah, you can
Thanks,
do
Sarah.
something else. And why don't you tell us a little bit about whatever you're going to play?
I'm going to play a song that was a recent hit for Lee Brice. Wrote it with Lee and Brian Davis on Lee's bus back in September of 2019. And this was, for me, you know how, you guys might not know because you're pretty young, but the Beatles, like, McCartney would start something and take it to Lennon, and, he'd throw his 2 cents in. And this was the most like that of any song I've been a part of. Like, they had basically the chorus. And they said, "Do you want in on this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, because it's awesome. But if I do, I'm going to want to be able to contribute."
Yeah.
So I kind of retreated, a little bit, and they were working out the details on the bus. They were working out the details of melodic stuff, and I said, "Hey, what about Red Leaves on the River, Footprints in the Sand, Cold Walk in December, Warming Up Your Hands?" And Lee got this look on his face. Like, I had this guitar, and he, didn't say anything. He just took the guitar out of my hands and sang back to me what I had said. And so it was pretty magical. So I'm going to play that. And it came from a real place, I mean, the ideas that do seem to be better if you've had a life experience like it. So anyway, it's called Memory I Don't Mess With. Red leaves on the river, footprints in the sand, cold walk in December, warming up your hands. Sundress on the front steps, sun up by the lake, blanket down in the backyard, lying wide awake. That's a memory I don't mess with, the girl I was the best with, the one I was obsessed with. Girl, you just don't get it. I'd fall right back with one slip, always leaves me helpless. Don't hate me, I can't help it. Gotta leave us where we left it. You're a memory I don't mess with. Moonlight on the backseat, breeze through the wires,
Springsteen on the speakers, girl, I'm on fire. That stuff I don't think about, 'cause it still kills me now. I still can't dance around that memory I don't mess with. The girl I was the best with, the one I was obsessed with. Girl, you just don't get it. I'd fall right back with one slip. Always leaves me helpless. Don't hate me, I can't help it. Gotta leave us where we left it. You're a memory I don't mess with. It's good running into you like this, but girl, I'm as close as I can get to a memory I don't mess with. The girl I was the best with, the one I was obsessed with. Girl, you just don't get it. I'd fall right back with one slip. Always leaves me helpless. Don't hate me, I can't help it. Gotta leave us where we left it. You're a memory I don't mess with. Red leaves on the river, footprints in the sand, cold walk in December, warming up your hands.
Yay!
You know,
you.
the
Thank
other
you.
day,
Thank y'all so
I was,
much.
the other day I was driving home from Atlanta, and we were in that space where you have to change the station, right? And it was on one station. I'm not kidding. It was on one station, and when we changed to a different, and it was like Getting Fuzzy, like 2 songs later, and we changed to a different station, and it was on that station. I was with Mike Rogers too, and he was like, "Yes!"
Best thing ever.
Yeah, literally. I was like, "That's amazing."
That is
That's
incredible.
But too, Billy, I love, and what Billy's so good at is like painting pictures in songs.
Serious.
Agreed.
Sometimes, honestly, I'm like, Billy, you make me mad and right. So I throw out a line, and then he's like, yeah, that's nice, but what about this? And
Yeah.
it's something like that, and I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And that first verse is a
Furniture.
great, yes, furniture, exactly.
Gotta get that furniture.
First verse, I'm so glad you tagged it too. Like you were
Yeah,
kind of,
it
we were
seemed
talking about that
right.
earlier, you
It
know,
definitely
like
seemed- the
bringing something
repetitive
back.
thing,
Yeah,
Right.
I love that.
You gotta repeat stuff. You gotta repeat stuff.
That's right.
You gotta
Gotta
repeat
repeat
That's
stuff.
what all the, that's what these kids in Amsterdam were telling
Gotta
me.
repeat stuff.
Is this close enough? These kids in Amsterdam. Since I'm 75, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play something that hasn't been released yet. We actually wrote this on a retreat, earlier this year.
Like 3 months ago?
Yeah, and
This is a beautiful song.
thank
Yeah.
you. So
Absolutely chills.
so one of my friends, she had just gone through a breakup with another one of our friends, which was a bummer for all of us. But I was talking to her a lot around this season, and you know, she's probably mid-30s, and she was just really, you know, obviously distraught about the breakup, but also like, I just feel like I don't know where my life's going, and like I thought this was it, and this isn't it, and so this was kind of my song to her, and just how don't feel like that was wasted time. Don't feel like it was lost time, because life goes how it's supposed to, even when it doesn't feel like it. So the song's called Further Down the Road. Sorry, I'm cheating and using my lyrics, everyone. Thought you found the real thing, but life had other plans. And you held on so tight till it just slipped right through your hands. It ain't the being lonely that breaks your heart the most. It's finding out he ain't the one when you were so damn close. I know you think that time was just a waste, and you think you're starting over, but you ain't. 'Cause you come a long way from who you used to be. You can't unlearn the things you learned, unsee the things you've seen. I know it feels like you should be there by now, about the ride you're on. But they weren't in the car when all the wheels were coming off. So go ahead and cry, you ain't supposed to be alright. Give yourself a break and take it 1 mile at a time, 'cause you come a long way from who you used to be. You can't unlearn the things you learn, unsee the things you've seen. I know it feels like you should be there by now, but sometimes the long way is the only way around. Trust me, when you get there, you'll know. It's just a little bit further down the road. Not saying you should find that silver lining. I'm just saying keep your eyes on that horizon. 'Cause you've come a long way from who you used to be. You can't unlearn the things you've learned, unsee the things you've seen. I know it feels like you should be there by now, but sometimes the long way is the only way around. Trust me, when you get there, you'll know. And I'll try not to say I told you so, 'cause it's just a little bit further down the road. Just a little bit further down the road.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
amazing.
Not bad for only playing it once
That's right.
since, yeah.
You know, too, and talking about, I'm glad to know how that song came about.
Yeah,
Because it also from a real place.
yeah.
And I mean, obviously, we write so many songs that you can't. They can't all.
All right.
But those ones that do, are just there's something special.
There
about it.
is. I think it's because, at least for me on the performing side, I'm able to go back there in my mind, you know, right there to that feeling and who the message was really meant for,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But it's fun.
Right. Makes it.
Yeah. Sometimes you listen to a song like first pass and you're like, this is a good song. And then other times you listen and you're like, yeah. Whew, okay.
Yes. Hey, that's what I'm trying
Cut
to
to
go
the
for
core.
every time.
But that's
Crushed
a good
it.
example. That song, if I remember correct on the retreat, like it was about dinner time.
Yeah.
And we were kind of tired and just like,
Yeah.
are we really going to start something again tonight?
Yes.
And we did, and it fell out. A lot of
Yeah.
times when you're the tiredest is when the great ones come
Yeah,
out.
it was already dark. Yeah.
Right.
So funny.
And that
because remember we
plays
came back
to-
after.
Earlier, you said you weren't that creative after 5.
And there you go.
That's it.
The
It was
only rule is there are no rules.
Yeah,
Yes, that's it. That's it.
So I'm going to sing like a fun little love song that I wrote for my wife
Oh, I love
because
that.
she's always making me late. And so this is just a song called Take Forever.
I love it.
Ain't seen the first 10 minutes of a movie since I met you. Ain't made a single dinner reservation that ain't fell through. So go on, paint your toes, dry your hair, change your dress. I don't care if I gotta wait all night. You can take forever if you want to. I'll be waiting on you. Girl, just let me know when you're good and ready. Baby, take your sweet time, 7:38, 9. It don't matter, long as you let me be the one to say, yeah, girl, you look fine. Hope I'm running late for the rest of my life. If it means we get to spend it together, baby, you can take forever. Remember that last dance at sorry. Remember that last call, first dance, finally got my hand around your body after trying all night. You told me that I should know you're the kind of girl that takes it slow. I said that's alright. You can take forever if you want to. I'll be waiting on you. Girl, just let me know when you're good and ready. Baby, take your sweet time, 7:38, 9. It don't matter, long as you let me be the one to say, yeah, girl, you look fine. Hope I'm running late for the rest of my life. If it means we get to spend it together, baby, you can take forever. The best things in life are worth the wait. Take my hand, take my heart, take my last name. You can take forever if you want to. I'll be waiting on you. Girl, just let me know when you're good and ready. Baby, take your sweet time, 7:38, 9. It don't matter, long as you let me be the one to say, yeah, girl, you look fine. Hope I'm running late for the rest of my life. If it means we get to spend it together, baby, you can take forever. Yeah, you can take forever.
Park.
Adam Wood and Jaden Michaels.
Oh, it's so good.
And that was when we were actually an hour and a half into the writes, and we were trying to write a girl song.
Yeah.
But then an hour and a half in, this idea came up because we'd thrown around a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and we just ended up writing this.
It's
Dude,
so
it's
good.
great.
This is so random, but I'm like, Chris Lane needs to cut that song, right?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Chris,
I
if
feel
you're
like
listening.
a Chris Lane song.
Put it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. In my other life.
Fantastic.
Welcome back. I think we have a viewer question.
Yes, we do. Kat Wathel Hall?
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed that.
She wants to know, how do you train your songwriting muscle? You've been out of the songwriting gym for a little while. Essentially, how do you get back into it after a time off?
That's a really good question.
It is.
Because I like my time off.
Yeah.
Like, I like stepping away from it and then coming back into it. Man, I would, for myself, I think I kind of work on something alone, like which we don't do very often. We kind
Yeah.
of co-write a lot, so
Yeah.
much that I probably try to get back into shape by just
It's so
noodling
funny
myself.
because I would do the opposite. I feel like I would go and be like, okay, let me just be in this space again and feel what that feels like to like, and with somebody maybe that I was really comfortable with
Right,
already,
right.
to people that maybe knew that I hadn't been in the game for a minute, and that way, if I wasn't contributing a ton, it wouldn't feel off, you know?
Yeah.
Because I have friends that quit music, if you will, and if they were to get back into it, I would happily be like, oh, come join and let's get you back into it, you know?
It's good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like riding a bike. You know, you don't do it, and then you get back in the room, and maybe you feel a little off or something, but then a couple days, and you feel back in the swing.
I think so too.
And actually recharged, like you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good question.
All right, cool. You guys like to chat, so we're going to finish off with a very important question, which is, do you have any advice for songwriters? I think I answered that or asked that correctly. Right? Yeah. Okay, sweet.
Ladies first.
Okay. I think my
NSAI.
my knee-jerk reaction after NSAI
Yeah.
would be to write your truth. There is no, I don't think, like really right or wrong way. I mean, obviously we know what songs sound like. They're about 3 minutes and all that jazz. But writing your truth, I think you're going to get where you want to go faster, as far as like it's going to inspire you and thus inspire other people. That would be my personal one, but that's because I sometimes get in my own way because I die on the hill of authenticity. But at the same time,
Wow.
Wow.
I do. I'm like, that's a really great idea, but I wouldn't say that. And they're like, but it's a great idea. I'm like, okay. But no, I think that I would say write your truth. That would be mine.
That's great.
I mean, I would say just study the great songs, what makes them great, how many chord changes there are, space between lyrics, just analyze all that stuff. And then for me, being on the music side and building tracks and all, I try to really keep up with what's current, a bunch of different styles and all that stuff, so I always know what's going on. Yeah, and there's just every day just try to write, even if it's find a chord change that you like, or write down 3 or 4 lines that you can bring into a write some other time. But
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's all, and combining all of those, because I think that's all amazingly killer advice, you know. But and the other thing is to be, for me, is to be like, I would be critical of what I'm doing, like self-critical, like in writing your truth. Also be truthful with like, does it need to be 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, right.
Do you need, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I would, you know, but see that sort of comes from these other things that you're doing, by doing it, like and just doing it and analyzing other songs was, we hadn't talked about that. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
because then you can, you know, if you're doing it professionally, like every day we're in the NFL, every day, you know, it's, there's great songwriters all over town doing it, and so we have to be unique, and I think part of what Hannah was saying about be true to yourself, that's kind of what she's alluding to too, is like don't be afraid to be unique, because jumping on a bandwagon, you're too late. It's already moved on.
That's where mine came from, is when I was younger, I wanted to like be Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you can be like an authentic writer and write what makes you excited and what you need to say, versus like.
There's already a Taylor Swift.
Exactly. And I think that's like, you nailed
there's
it.
a Hannah Ellis.
There's only one Hannah Ellis. Yep.
Amen.
Yep.
Thank God. For y'all.
No, we absolutely love you.
We do.
Amazing.
One last question. Okay, final, last fun question. We're turning this off because it's dying anyway.
Okay.
Who has inspired your career from day one?
Day one for me, I've already mentioned Jackson Browne.
Yep.
I like them. I like the poetry, and I like the songs that were introspective and sensitive to those types of things, and so he would be the #1 guy for me as far as career.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's, on the artist side, I feel like all those 90s female powerhouses really influenced me artistically, but songwriter, probably be Taylor Swift. Just
because she's awesome.
Yeah, she's. I mean, she just is so good at songwriting.
So
I mean,
good.
so good, and it just taught me so much at such a early age. What is important in a song, you know, and it's making people feel something, which is exactly what he said earlier, and I think that was really, really impactful on me as a songwriter.
I think since I started playing guitar first, I liked a lot of the guitar greats like Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan. But then as I got into songs, I liked a lot of the classic guys like Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark, the whole Americana scene. But then I'm very much a chameleon when it comes to music. So grew up on 90s country and love all that. So.
Well, it really shows in your catalog.
Well, thank you.
Very impressive. Guys, absolutely loved this.
I did too. This was
This was so
Yeah.
fun.
Being the newest member of the country team, I haven't gotten to spend a ton of time with you, and so this was really special. And
We kind of cheated that in here.
I know. 2 birds, 1 stone.
That's right, baby. Come on.
So no meeting later this
No
afternoon?
meeting.
Yeah, that's it.
Never having a meeting with you ever again.
We need to have a meeting about having a meeting.
Yeah, well,
that's
well, we're
Nashville.
going to do that one still. We're just not going to do the actual meeting.
That's perfect.
So good.
Thank you so much. I think this is the end of the day. Yeah.
All right.
We did
Thank you
it.
guys.